So I said, we believe he brought his spirit home to inspire us all. Now, a lot of people might say, ah, that's just tosh, it's romantic tosh. I'm going to give you a few figures. In 2005, the SNP had 6 MPs, 27 MSPs. Today we have 44. I say we, I'm not a member of the SNP, but they represent what we're going for. We have 44 MPs, 64 MSPs. Now that might be coincidence. That's entirely up to you if you want to believe that or not. If you think Wallace helped, I do. Anyway, 7 centuries on, we come to remember a man here. We come to Stirling, to Falkirk, to Aberdeen, to Royston, to Loudon Hill, to Smithfield, to Lanark, and probably many other places as well, every single year, to remember a man who died over 700 years ago. Now, I may be mistaken, but as far as I'm aware, there isn't a single annual commemoration for King Edward. Either of them, in fact. So Wallace's name lives on, and it lives on in everyone who loves Scotland, not just Scots here. But as was mentioned before, Braveheart brought the whole Scottish feeling of freedom to people throughout the world. So it lives in their hearts as well. I do a lot of work with the tourists that come to Scotland. And Wallace is one of the first things that gets talked about. Always. You know, he's still here. For centuries, people have told the story of William Wallace. Now, it's our turn. We are now the storytellers. So, every time you come to one of these events, tell your friends proudly about it. Tell them where you're going. Invite them to come along. And maybe we can just ignite the fire in a few more Scots. Now, of course, Wallace won't physically lead us down the road to freedom. But on that day, and it will come, hopefully very soon, he'll be there. He'll be there in my heart. He'll be there in your heart, your heart, your heart, and in the heart of every single Scot who stands up to make Scotland a free nation once again. Is Wallace still relevant? I think you should probably ask that question to the establishment. The establishment still fears William Wallace, possibly as much as it ever did. Sir William, thank you. At this point in the proceedings, if anybody's got any tissues, Gary will probably need them. I did not close my eyes for the last time under Caledonian skies, with my good friends gathered all around me to say the last goodbye. But I will not be forgotten in the heart of every Scot. I still live on. Now it's time to fly the Saltire high. My spirit's coming home. They tore apart my body so I could not rise on Judgment Day. But what they did not realize never go away. I'm coming back to the land I love, to the people I hold dear, to Scotland, St Andrew, and freedom. I'm coming home, I'm coming home, right where I belong. I'm coming home, I'm coming home, my spirit's coming home. Now I'm returning after all this time to Caledonian skies, to the country I died for, so that our nation could survive. Once again to stand beside the people I hold dear, for Scotland, St Andrew, and freedom. I'm coming home, I'm coming home, back where I belong. I'm coming home, I'm coming home, my spirit's coming home, to Scotland, St Andrew, and freedom. Back to Scotland, St Andrew, and freedom.
Much not to take the microphone after that. Ted Christopher, ladies and gentlemen. Ted.
I'd just like to say thank you to the vice convener for taking over, because I don't normally do speeches and that. But there's one wee anecdote about a gentleman that he mentioned. He mentioned the Reverend Sorensen, who was with us in London on that day. He got a picture out. Late in one day, there were over 1,000 of us walking through the streets of London, the 6 Mile route, and Wallace was dragged. There's a sort of flying vehicle with Davy at the front and a piper or two and a squad of us, and the Reverend Sorensen in full Presbyterian robes marching along behind us. And about halfway round, we're wandering down this road, round a corner, there's a pub on the other side with some railings, and there's 3 old guys leaning against the railings, and it's like somebody watching tennis. And one of them shouts out, "Oi mate, what's going on?" And the Reverend Sorensen, without missing a beat, shouts, "We've invaded, did nobody tell you?" And they just fell about laughing.
A brief commercial interlude, by the way. The stall here, please have a look at the stall if you haven't already. You can join the society. The fees for 12 months, £10, or if you're under 16, over 60, only a £5. Please join us, that would be very, very helpful. Also in there, there's merchandise, t-shirts, hoodies. There's also commemorative pieces of the Wallace oak tree itself, if that is of interest to you as well. Nick, who's just spoken there, Nick's got a medieval weapons display. I'll be happily talk to those about it as well. So information boards, please go along and do that. But before we do, I should say Ted will be back to finish off the commemoration shortly. But prior to that, in a couple of minutes, we're going to have the medieval reenactors of Britannia 14. There they go. So please keep the kids away. Right? I give a welcome. They always entertain us royally. Britannia 14.
We've got quite a few sharp things here, so if any mothers are worried about losing any of their kids, if any of them get their heads chopped off, then I'll help you make another one.
Just to give us adequate space, if this wee bit could go back a bit, everybody further back as well. Downstairs! Downstairs! So, we're about to do a small demonstration for you. As was warned, all of the weapons we're fighting with today are steel weapons. They can cause damage for safety reasons. They are blunted. We'll have to see a lot more alongside the other weapon display once we're done. But if you see a knife barreling towards you, that's not meant to happen, so step out of the way. Don't try and catch them. They're heavy, they're dangerous, they're trained to cause damage. So we are Britannia XIV, and we are reenactors from the 14th century, the reenacted period of William Wallace. What we're going to demonstrate today is a little bit, let's bring it to life a little bit. We have in our army today some of the soldiers that would have fought for Wallace. Yay! Now, back in the medieval era, everybody was legally responsible for providing their own armour, their own weaponry, and making sure they were ready for battle. And if you were the poorest of peasants, all you might be able to afford is a metal point on a stick, and maybe a shield as your armour. Sometimes local towns would have issued shields and pikes were issued, but more often than not, you were responsible for providing all that equipment yourself. So think about it. We were having a fight tomorrow and you went home and you kicked yourself up. How confident would you feel? A few you're looking a bit handy. This pair, not so much. Let's say, this pair, there's no armour, just a shield. There is an axe. Most likely would have been used to chop the firewood. Maybe they turned it, they're a bit awkward, and things along those lines. Pop back in. I'm going to borrow this one. Pop back in. Also not very well trained. Back then, as part of their annual rent for their house, everybody owed about 30 days a year of military service. Now that's handy when there's a war on. You know you've got 30 days that you're going to have to fight in that war. If there isn't a war on, then you would have been acting as local guard duty. You would have been doing drill, you would have been trained. It's like the modern day reservists. You know, your weekend warriors. A bit like that. But the majority of the soldiers in Wallace's army would have looked like us. We're obviously well enough off. We've got a wee bit of money coming in. We've made sure we've protected the essentials. Our heads. Didn't hurt that one. And we're wearing padded armour and canvases. Now, canvases are very good at protecting from English arrows at long range. You know, once they've been shot up into the air, well, under a helmet as big as this, with this much padding on, we'd probably be okay. But once we get closer, and they're shooting at us point blank, we've not got a hope. Hence why the English developed the longbow and led to Wallace's defeat at Falkirk. But if it makes you feel any better, once we helped the English develop the longbow, they took it to France and then beat up the French for a while. So off of our sacrifice, the French suffered. History's funny like that. Right, well the three folk are more armed up. Come forward and spread yourselves out. No law, but you still have to listen. So, over on the far side here, we have a professional soldier. So, James here would be closer to a man at arms, potentially with a job in a noble's household. He's well equipped, he's got his two-handed battle axe, he's got his sword, he's got his dagger. He's ready for a battle.